Minister of Labor and Industry shall be an executive officer of the University Improvement Association, whose duty it shall be to regulate labor and industry of the parent body and among the divisions and various members of the organization throughout the world. When feasible, he shall have representatives in each division and shall thereby inform himself of the labor conditions throughout the world and formulate plans to relieve the economic conditions of Negroes everywhere. He shall also lend his assistance to all matters of immigration and to the establishment of avenues of industry for the members of the organization. That is the Office of Minister of Labor and Industries. I will continue to jump over to page 34, Article 12, Salaries and Expenses. Section 1.
Brother Mason's question.
Skip down to actually section 4.
First Vice President had a question.
If you are following along with me, I'm just going to read section 4. Officers of local divisions who give their entire time to the working of their local divisions shall receive for their services according to the ruling of the membership of such local divisions, and all such salaries shall be conditional on the local division having at its disposal sufficient funds in its treasury to make payment of such possible. All right. I'm going to skip over to page 36, and I'm going to read section 6. Section 6 is investing of money. And this brings us to kind of where we are, tie it all in together. On page section 6, it says the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League and all its divisions and allied societies may invest money in any business which to the best judgment of the members of the organization are of such as to yield profit in the interest of the association. But no division shall invest its funds without first getting the approval of the parent body. There was a slight amendment in 2005. Let's see if I can identify the change, because it's Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League and its division and allied societies may invest money in any business which to the best judgment of the members of the organization are of such as to yield profit in the interest of the association, but no division shall invest its funds without first getting the approval of the parent body. It looks like that. I'm not able to identify the amendment, the part that was amended just by reading those two. But I'll go to the next section, section 7. It says no investments by division is the title of it. No investments by division, section 7. I'm sure y'all can't see that, but section 7, no investment of money shall be made by local divisions or society without the consent of the membership of the said division or society without the approval of the parent body. It kind of reiterates, it seems. I'll keep reading to section 8, which is selling of outside stock. Section 8 says no division shall allow any of its officers or members to use the meeting of the organization for selling stock or shares in any personal or private concern, and in such officers or members found guilty of such offense shall be suspended for 3 months. We go down to section 9, and it says the parent body of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League may invest its money wholly or in company with others for the good of the organization, the parent body. Section 10 I'm going to read section 10, and I'm going to read Article 13, section 1, and then we'll kind of get into discussion. Section 10 states, the funds of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League as derived from all sources herein mentioned shall be used for the carrying out of the objects of the association. And we read section 1 because that section talked about the funds of Universal Negro Improvement Association. And Article 13, we'll read that one. The revenue of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League shall be derived from monthly subscriptions, which shall not be more than 25 cents per month, being authorized dues of each active member, donations, collections, gifts, profits derived from business, entertainment, functions, or general amusement of an innocent nature, and a charitable fund of 10 cents per month. I'll read that one again. Sorry. The revenue of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League shall be derived from monthly subscriptions, which shall not be more than 25 cents per month, being authorized dues of each active member, donations, collections, gifts, profits derived from businesses, entertainment, functions of general amusement of an innocent nature, and a charitable fund of 10 cents per month. So, I'm sorry, I do want to read one more, and that is Article. I'm sorry, this is it's the civil service. Let me read this one. Civil service. I'm sure if y'all seen this. Civil service shall be established by the Universal Negro Improvement Association. From this civil service shall be recruited all employees of the association. Preference of civil servants. A civil servant shall have precedent over and preference to all persons employed or to be employed by the Universal Negro Improvement Association. List. An official civil service list of Universal Negro Improvement Association shall be compiled and designated as the civil service. All right. Okay. Like I said, we have been talking a lot about investing together collectively. So I definitely wanted to see what the Constitution said about investing, and also kind of create a conversation and feedback based off of what we all heard the Constitution say, to make sure that as we are putting together our operation agreement and we're making plans to structure whatever we're doing together, that we will structure it properly, that we will be in alignment with the Constitution, but also create avenues for us to be able to raise funds to execute the local aims that we have. So, in trying to write a business plan and trying to come up with a proposal for this, of course, being in alignment is important, but I did want to kind of open up the floor for conversation about that. Um, how we can structure what we're doing based off of what the parent is. Marcus Garvey wrote this, not our current administration. And I think there's some reasons why he said that, why he put it like this, and I think that it is worthy to be discussed. So I just wanted to open the floor to what we read about the Constitution and how we can operate our collective endeavors to invest together, and how we can kind of structure it based off of what we heard. Definitely, especially looking forward to hearing from my president about this as well. Any comments?
Yes. I do have some comments. My hands are tied at the moment. Couple things. One was a Minister of Labor and Industries for our members. Do we have a Minister of Labor and Industries?
I see your mic moving, but I can't hear you myself. Maybe it's just me. I'm sorry. I think it was just me, President John. You continue. I apologize. I think it was just me.
Uh, I'm on my computer mic now. First thing was you mentioned Minister of Labor Industries. Do we have someone holding that position currently? Is that a active office?
Yes. Clyde Banks.
Clyde Banks. I knew, like I said, it's just for everyone else. Clyde Banks, president of Division 429, is our Minister of Labor and Industries. As far as civil service, we don't have an active civil service currently, do we?
Correct.
Okay.
No, we don't. Correct.
Okay. Well, yeah, I heard what you said. Great research, first of all. Um, I would ask what would you see as a concern for us moving forward? I do see one obstacle, just one minor obstacle personally, but in your opinion, what obstacles do you feel we need to overcome, address, or clarify from parent body as we proceed?
Right. So yes, I know we were speaking last week about relationship with the parent body as we proceed going forward. One of the things that I saw as an obstacle was um, investing our funds locally as a business without their permission. Um, and I just want to, I may be interpreting that in a way that, I mean, well, of course. So the only, if I'm interpreting that right, that we aren't supposed to be investing our funds locally, then I know we talked a little bit about if this going to be a UNIA business last week, a little bit. Um, how will we structure ourselves to be able to operate without that contingency, without having to get information, or do we just want to structure ourselves where we have a relationship with them and investing together? So just trying to see what's the best possible path between possibly those two, I guess, creating a separate entity that's not involved or playing ball, I guess.
Sorry about that. Running up and downstairs.
Say again, President John?
Like I said, I was running up and downstairs, so it took me a second to respond.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, but I agree with what you said. But what I see is, I mean, we would need to ask for approval from the parent body to invest the funds that we're speaking of.
Yes, sir. Yes.
But I mean, we'll do that as soon as possible. Um, I guess we can put a document together. I haven't gotten good response from the parent body on written documents this year. But we can write something up so that we don't have to wait till president's call.
So I also have a suggestion as well that we kind of get if we are going to go that route to get one approval for henceforth kind of forevermore. That we are going to be operating locally an investment fund, and we would like approval to operate this investment fund, going forward. Instead of having to go ahead.
I would be careful with how we pitch it.
Yeah.
One, I mean, I understand what you're saying. We do want to be honest and give the vision of what it is that we're trying to do. Investment firm, multiple,
Right.
diverse portfolio, all, real estate,
Uh-huh.
all of those components. The component I'm talking about right now, as far as that's an approval for, would be, as we discussed last week,
Stop.
$100 in black owned stocks.
Okay.
do we foresee any pushback from the parent body of the UNIA for a local division to invest $100 in Black-owned stocks?
Not, I don't foresee pushback, but what
Is this $100 each or total?
Total.
It was
That ain't
actually
gonna be no
200.
return. That ain't gonna be no return on that. And across how many stocks?
That's something we were going to talk about. Brother Malik, were you with us last week when we talked about this?
No, I got kicked out and couldn't get back on.
So, the 100 was entry. And Sister Diane, I know we talked about the 200. I don't know if we ever got confirmation on the second 100. But I don't want to get lost in the amount. One thing we're talking about right now is approval. And the long-term
I
plan.
thought the local divisions were autonomous when it came to that.
Exactly.
Well, Brother Maces did just read
Yeah, if someone else that
in
we were
regards to
supposed to get on
investing.
each local division was to do their own thing.
But it says we have to have
That's a
approval.
contradiction. If we don't, if we be getting approval, that means we ain't autonomous.
so the video.
Yeah, see, that's a contradiction. That's a contradiction.
So for me, I honestly feel like Marcus Garvey didn't intend for the local divisions to be strictly autonomous, in my opinion. I believe that the investment programs, he wanted them to come from the parent body, and he wanted him himself really. He was the parent body at the time. But I do remember President John read the letter last week, and he talked about how people had stopped sending him money. Sorry, I'm outside. So but I feel like Garvey, he saw us as a government, and with the head being the parent body and us supporting that. And I'm just saying this for discussion, not necessarily saying it to say we should move a certain way, but just to just further discussion and see what y'all think, I guess, about autonomy.
I think it's a good idea. And in regards to autonomy, the way I hear it, and I got to read the Constitution again, but I would, based on what I understand, we have the autonomy when it comes to the functioning of the business or the body, but we would still need approval to invest the funds. I guess the parent want
We
us.
just circumvent them and invest our own funds.
That's why we were talking about having an
That seems like
investment group, because then everything you do, you got to go get permission from these guys to do it. That's why we were talking about an investment group, and it's just the group just consists of UNIA members from Division 421. And then we can just look at the UNIA as our charitable fund, and we just put charity into the UNIA. And then our UNIA would be just kicking because, we will be, I thought I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not a big deal if we need to get permission to put the Black-owned stocks, but we could all do that on our own too. Like, I don't know. I think that I thought that I guess, yeah, we could do that, and we could still have a separate investment group. We could still have the investment.
I think that's what President John is saying. Like right now, because we want to move forward and go ahead and invest in these stocks. So right now, in that regard, just specifically this $100, we will suggesting that we will ask for permission for that. Let them know that we're doing that. And when he was saying that he may not want to present everything up front, yes, we can continue to plan to have our separate our investment group. But just for this specific thing, we'll go ahead and get the permission. Um, for this one thing, I think that's what you were saying, President John.
Well, my understanding of what you read, in order to invest our funds as a division of the UNIA, we would need to get approval from the parent body of the UNIA.
Yes.
So it's either we do it as a division of the UNIA or we do it privately.
Oh, you mean even if we had an investment fund as UNIA members? Or you mean if we invest funds under the auspice of the UNIA?
Under the auspice of the UNIA.
So that would be the stock stuff we would get permission for.
Well, we were also talking about the real estate trust as well.
Yes. And
But that wasn't going to be through UNIA. I don't believe that was going to be a REIT, a real estate investment group that we form. I don't know if it was going to be under the UNIA. I thought it was an investment group. Because then it gets crazy. I don't know. That was one of the things we were talking about, the best way to structure things, to keep it, because we were talking about setting up our investment group and helping other divisions to do the same if they want to, but the commonality of that investment group was that it's all by UNIA members.
right, and that's
the only way kind of to do those.
Right. Dr. Cool, you got your hand up.
Thank you, Brother Omaisis. I just wanted to share, based on what you read now from the Constitution, it is clear that we need to follow those steps. And for our own, satisfaction, I think let's follow those steps and see what the outcome will look like. Because Vice President Lady Diane has been saying it over and over, we could go this route of forming an investment group. But we know at the back of our minds in that group that we are going to put all our tax returns into the UNIA. Because it will be seen as a charity organization. Instead of us giving our returns to IRS, our returns will go to the UNIA every year. And that's what nonprofits benefit from taxes. But now another catch is the UNIA a registered nonprofit organization, 501c, because you can only do that if they have the certificate to show they are 501c. Then you present that to the IRS that my 10% taxes went to the UNIA, so I'm not giving anything to the IRS. And I think Vice President Diane has been saying this over and over. And for me, I've caught on what she's trying to say. If we want to move now, that could be the right route for us to take. But on the other hand, it causes no harm for us to give it a try, to follow the Constitution, go through the parent body, through our President John, to find out what the responses will be. So if it's going to be positive, then we can easily, our investment group can then easily be, turned into a Division 421, open for everybody who wants to be part of it, instead of just the concerned members who are interested in forming this investment group outside of the UNIA, but knowing very well that every year the percentage that's supposed to go to IRS is going to go to the UNIA.
UNIA would become our charitable fund. So we give the charity, and then we can write that off because we're funding, and then we'll help to fuel all the various endeavors that the UNI gets involved in terms of helping with community scenarios. And the list when it comes to community situations is endless. you have homelessness, you have soup kitchens, you have, I mean, it's just an endless list. So there's no shortage of different things that the UNIA can participate in, but we'll make it more vibrant because we're having our investment groups. We'll be making investments happen, and we'll be designating a certain percentage, to UNIA because we're all UNIA members. That's kind of how I was visioning it. And then when Brother John mentioned the stock things, we could do that also as a group doing that, or we could just have the UNIA itself, buy some, like Brother John was saying, starting out small and going maybe with $100. So I was proposing, why don't we match whatever that amount's gonna be? If it's 100, we all match it with 100, and that's our contributing part, and then we just let that do its thing for however long it sits there. But we were going to identify some Black-owned publicly traded companies and do that. Initially I was thinking of that also as an investment group, that we form an investment group for those stocks, but then we were trying to see how it would benefit UNIA, and that's when Brother John said, well, we could just buy it on behalf of UNIA. So I was like, okay, let's do that. Can work too. But I think the other groups is gonna work best if we have an investment group that involve all of us, and then we're contributing, parts of our proceeds to the UNIA.
So, I want to just draw attention to, I guess, Section 8, selling of outside stocks in the Constitution, selling of outside stock. So, if we were to go private, then we would fall into that category. For us to be able to talk about what we do in UNIA meetings, I feel like would be a violation of Section 8 if we do it privately. And I'm just gonna read it again. No division shall allow any of its officers or members to use the meeting of the organization for selling stocks or shares in any personal or private concern, and any such officer or member found guilty of such offenses shall be suspended for 3 months. So if we do have a private investment group that we are operating in a fashion where we're not getting approval from the parent body because we are private, then I believe it could disqualify us from being able to grow and people who want to be involved in that through the meetings. So we wouldn't be able to do that because we aren't official UNIA business. So with two things, one, the $100 stock thing, I think I agree. I agree with President John. We're going to move forward with investing, with asking for permission on that. So I think now the conversation that's on the table now is how do we structure going forward after that? Because that's a couple of weeks ago I left off with the task of putting a proposal on that. That's what this whole thing is for, putting a proposal to be able to reach out to investors who may already have funds already and be able to participate with us. So the goal of structure is important to the presentation of how we are going. Um, with the $100 in the stock, I think our president already said we were going to ask for permission on that. I guess going forward, do we structure this as a private thing, or are we going to structure it in a way where we are going to get approval for the investment group that Sister Diane has discussed? What do you guys think?
If we
Sister Diane, you want to go first?
Okay. I was gonna say if we're gonna do the stocks and that's something we need to get permission to do, we should do it. We should get the permission to do the stocks. Like I said, if Brother John wants to start with a conservative amount of 100, I was proposing that each of us contribute the second 100, and that we move forward with that, get the permission for that. On the other hand, if we need permission to say we're starting our local chapter is going to have an investment group for UNI members of our division to jointly come together and buy real estate, then I don't know if we need permission for that. I mean, we're just an investment group and we happen to be UNIA members. And at the end of the day, UNIA is going to benefit from our activity, investing in real estate. So I'm not sure if forming an investment group. I remember initially Brother Omasius was talking about a REIT, which stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. So that's kind of like we're just investing in a group of real estates that may or may not be owned by us. I don't know. I mean, but what I was thinking is an investment group. Let's say that we're all ready as far as we were talking about getting all of our credits and access to credit in line. And let's say we find a little dilapidated 3-bedroom house. We pick it up at the auction, just an example, for 20K. It needs 20K. We put the 20K in, we fix it, we flip it, we divide the proceeds, and we look for the next opportunity. And from that proceeds, the UNIA gets a percentage. So we're contributing to the UNIA, we're benefiting individually as members, and we're growing. And so also I was saying also, if you fast forward in the future, we identify a building for our local division that we get into jointly. That building will be for the UNIA, and that building will stay with the UNIA till our next generation. It'll stay forever with the UNIA. In that regard, I was saying we could contribute in our real estate for the UNIA, but other things that we invest in as a group, we'll divide the proceeds, we'll contribute a portion, and we'll look for the next deal. That's kind of how my vision was of it, but it doesn't mean it has to go that way. That's just one way I see it working in a less convoluted and complicated manner. Easy peasy Japanese is what I see when I look at that format, but it doesn't mean that's the format it has to take.
Sister Diane, to be clear, so you're saying we did not need approval from the parent body to take that approach?
To do an investment group
Yes.
locally, just with UNIA members? I don't see that we do, but we can confirm if we do. For the other thing where we're buying the stock in the name of the UNIA, I would imagine that we would need permission. If we're just doing an
If it's just
investment
going to
group,
be our
and it
own
just
thing, it doesn't have to be UNIA. It can be anybody. Hell, the Family of Nations can join in. Whoever y'all see fit joining in. It doesn't have to just be us. If it's going to be
right.
private.
Well, and when I say private, I mean private to UNIA people, but we could, as you say, other organizations can join us. Why not? The more the merrier. Yeah.
Meaning individuals from other organizations, other UNIA organizations,
Or other Black organizations. There's something called syndication. So in a syndication, you're going to raise funds. Like, let's say we were targeting an apartment building, and we know that individually we couldn't make it happen. We could pool our resources with some other Black organizations and make that happen. So I mean, I'd be open to stuff like that too.
But you said that the individuals would give a percentage of their funds to the UNIA.
We would agree on a percentage, and I mean, it could be, yeah, and we could agree on a percentage, and we could keep the UNIA, fuel the UNIA as we grow in that. Because if we make it like it's a UNIA fund, then how do you disperse profit? It gets a little convoluted. So, but if we buy the stocks and it's the UNIA own stock, and we even put something towards it as it grows, it stays with the UNIA. So that's a whole different ball game than, it was just getting a little wonky to figure out how the investors would make money, would make a profit in a situation where it's real estate. That's why I was saying we could have a investment group, but it's made up of members, UNIA members, and that's the commonality. We're UNIA members, and that's something you can use to attract other members. Listen, we have an investment group and we have members that are profiting, and and these are the things we do. We are our UNIA in Atlanta. It's very, very active in the community. Last, you know, last month we did this, the month before we did that. Without funds, you can't really talk like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah, brother. All right.
Other divisions, have they set a precedent in any business that they might have that we could look at and learn from?
They have, when we went to Philadelphia at the HEC, we saw that there was a building that was purchased, and there's still a lot that needs to be done to bring life to the building, but it appears as if a lot has been done to get to where they have their own center where we participated. But if you notice, Brother Duncan,
body, since they request their permission to operate in certain businesses, how other divisions have responded to.
What I was going to say, if you recall, Brother Duncan owns a series of restaurants. I think he owns like 6 restaurants. I might be off on the number of restaurants he owns, but you notice none of those are called UNIA restaurants, because it just gets a little, so even though he's a UNIA, official, high official, he owns restaurants, but I don't think those restaurants are
his. Those are not UNIA.
Right.
So he didn't have to get permission. What I'm saying is, since they're asking for permission,
Right. So
are there any other divisions who have been through this process?
No, so it from what I believe that we are setting precedent by coming together and trying to start businesses together as a division. So I'm not aware of any other division who has already come together to start a business, to be able, or to think about investing funds to go have to ask permission. So I think we are the first ones. But I would just ask a question to the officers: why do we believe that Garvey put this in place? And for us to have to divisions to have to ask permission from the parent body.
Brother Mason, if I haven't been clear, my approach would be through the structure of the UNIA, through the Constitution. We are not the leadership. We are not the High Council. We are a subordinate division, and as such, there are requirements. So I hope that clarifies my position.
Does. So going forward with the investment group, President John, your position is the same on we should follow the Constitution the way it's written, and get permission on all of our investments going forward. Period. Is that what you're saying?
In general, my thought process as we came into this was the division itself didn't have.
You're breaking up a little bit, Brother John.
Test, test. Can you hear me?
You
Way
broke
better.
up a little bit,
We
Brother
can
John.
hear you, can't see you.
Well, I'm not on camera, so that should help. My position initially was, and as I thought, we were looking for funds for the organization. And I guess there's two ways to go about that. We can put funds directly into the organization's account, or the alternate approach would be to increase the funds of our members individually, and they would by follow up and increase the funds of the division. Is that fair? Was there other options?
Well, I think one option is, of course, membership, but I think we have to have a level of, I don't know the word, a dynamism, dynamic.
Just
We have
keep
to
it
have something
simple.
dynamic and fun and exciting, so that when people come on board, they see that we're living up to the name of Garvey, and we're doing businesses, and we're creating economic solutions for our community. And I think that it's like going back to the what's in it for me thing. If they see that we have investment groups and people are benefiting, and that's something you could push as one of the benefits, that's going to be an incentive for them to come on. We're not buying anything like the Black Star Line right now. That's publicly traded, where everyone can buy shares and all that. We don't have anything like that in place. We're starting, I guess, on the small level. So what we're saying is, let's start with us having an investment group. And how does UNIA benefit? We can agree amongst the group how much of our profit we'll put to the UNIA when we make a profit on something. Outside of that, to have something that's ongoing with the UNIA, that's what I like, the idea of the stock and Black-owned stock, and getting permission to do that for the local division. That's fine, but I don't really understand how the investment group would work. If there's a way to make it work, and everybody sees a profit every time we make a profit, and having it owned by the UNIA, I'm open to learn how that would work.
Also, for me to answer your question, President John, I believe that the first thing that Garvey saw as to bring in funds was membership. If that is the goal, to bring in funds, and what I believe, to summarize what Sister Diane saying, and how I feel as well, is that in order to do that better, bringing in membership, I believe that there needs to be some kind of incentives for them to see, and in turn, as we create these incentives for people to see, then the funds will come in through membership, because it will reduce any resistance that we have in talking to people about the UNIA. And
Understand. I just don't know if we have the authority to create the vision that is being discussed outside of creating an independent group.
I agree. I agree with you, President John, on that. Definitely. It is, it is my position for, if we are creating something that we believe is a solution, that we should share it with our parent body, that this is the solution, and allow us to actively get together. Um, I, I, I believe I witnessed sentiment of where we want to kind of make 421 shine. And I get it. You know, personally, I understand it, but you know, in my opinion, I feel like what our goal should be in what this achieving our living aims and objectives should be always the underlying goal of everything we're doing. And I feel like this aim is way bigger than us. That we to conduct the worldwide commercial and industrial intercourse for the good of the people. I
Yes,
feel like that should be our aim, and that can't be done by just 421 by itself, in my opinion.
that's the organization's overall aim, but we
Right.
have local jurisdiction. Just like, Philadelphia has a local jurisdiction. It's not our job to, make sure their conditions are taken care of before ours are locally. That is how we are able to affect everything throughout the world and have a global economy, is because you have local representatives. And we are these local representatives for our district.
I don't even know if there we are objecting or what we're doing. Are we objecting? And if there's any question, why don't we get clarification?
Well, I don't even know if there's a proposal. I think we're just talking at this point.
Well, to me, there's a proposal to start an investment group by our
Yeah,
division.
and the proposal of structure, of how we structure that,
Is it?
because go ahead,
Yeah,
President.
I guess structure. Go ahead. I think that's where I was going. Structure. Brother Mason, you can help me or clarify. And Dr. Kuda's got her hand up as well.
Let me see how to do that hand move.
Dr. Kuda.
I thought Brother Anthony would speak first. Oh,
Okay. Yeah. Let me just inject something. My course of vision of the group, to UNIA, is a sort of a spearhead of education, informative, and direction for a thriving community. I think we should keep it real simple. I don't know how many of you are licensed to operate as a professional investor or to encourage investment, but there's a way to uh, accumulate a cash flow to build the organization and the vision of the organization. I think that should be. We don't need permission for that. I mean, I would say now, as a group and as y'all stabilize the positions and status, and I'm hearing what the bylaws had said, back in the 40s, how Garvey had been. And one of the feelings I have with that is that the that he didn't want just anybody coming in. He wanted us to make something happen. But then again, I think that we should build a cash flow. Then when you talk about stocks, that gives you vulnerability to the market. So whatever the market twists, them stocks gonna have an effect. In this course of the game, we don't want to lose. All we want is profits. All we want is benefits so that we can start building a foundation for a thriving community. That's how I see it. Now, the organization itself can exist and continue to exist. And that as an educational platform or platform for knowledge and understanding of self and where our history is and how we should be, send our antlers out to thrive in the communities, in our own communities and other communities. But I don't think you should intertwine the organization in a matter where that investments and who would give the permission to do so to intertwine with the mission. And the mission is to rise up. And I don't think that should be interfering with the process of cash flow so that we can build and spread the message of the organization so that people would become attracted to the organization and begin to love themselves and be able to love other people and make something happen in the community. I think you keep it simple, pool of sources, bring ourselves at a table, eyeball to eyeball, kneecap to kneecap, distill the strategies to get cash flow, and then execute. Now, individually, we can do investments or how we can coordinate, but we can still form strategies of ways of thinking and representation so that we can win. But in the first go, we got to sit down at the table, eyeball to eyeball, kneecap to kneecap, and strategize the method of cash flow, cash accumulation, and protect what we got and not put ourselves vulnerable to the market. Now, that's my position. I mean, Zoom and all that, that's cool, but we need to be in front of each other because this is a serious step. And the steps that Gavi made was serious steps. And we see ripples in that today. But now we're saying let's bring an umbrella so that we can become a thriving community. I'm saying to you, we need to sit down, eyeball to eyeball, kneecap to kneecap, and put those things in place for cash accumulation. You don't need nobody position to that because I don't know who got your milk and cereal this morning, but I got mine. But I'm saying I ain't need no permission to go get it. So what I'm saying to you is that then we can take them resources and make something happen for the organization. That's my take. That's my position on moving forward with how Garvey seen things. And I know one thing, he want us to rise. Now, all that sound like to me, there's a bunch of caps on keeping you from rising. And that should not be. So that should not be. So we need to sit down in front of each other. Don't worry about how you're gonna get there. Just be there and get there and sit down. We did this strategy. We share something because I want to share something concrete to you as well. And I don't want to do it on Zoom. I want to see you in front of my face. All right. So if we're gonna do the mission, let's do the mission. If you want to do, rhetoric and historical facts and positions and bylaws, then okay, I spend a little time on Zoom with you. But get real. We need cash accumulation and we need to protect what we have. And so with that being said, I in my discussion. Because Garvey did say, up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will. That's one thing I know for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think the discussion was around, or where I was structure of the investment group. Brother Macius.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, definitely the plan is to raise capital. That's the first step. How we do what we do with that capital and how we do it is guess what we're conversating about today. Do we get permission first before we invest it, or do we just go ahead and spread it out how we need to? And I believe that there are reasons why this structure in place that could some be beneficial, some not, but that's currently how it's set up. Go ahead, President.
Point of clarification. Though we do have a lot of ideas and we're talking about asking for permission, we have not been denied anything that we've tried to do thus far. So again, it's a lot of discussion.
And that goes to kind of the point that Dr. Cooter was saying earlier, let's just go ahead and try it. And I believe that we should expect positive results. I believe so. That we should, without confidence, you're twice defeated. I think we should always move with confidence that all of our aims will be pushed over because, especially if we do a good job of presenting it in ways that the people we're presenting to will see the value and benefit. And I think that our parent body is wants us to like we do. I don't think it'd be a problem at all with what we present. I agree with that. But I just wanted to definitely make sure that we had clarity in putting together the presentation and our operating agreement and proposal on how we move, going forward.
Brother Anthony kind of touched on what we talked about in the very first meeting. When Brother Omasius and we said the foundation is building capital. And then once we build the capital and each of us are individually worthy, we can jump into different things. And then, and Brother Anthony just mentioned the eyeball to eyeball, kneecap to kneecap concept. Not every single intricate details of what we do has to be on Zoom. Some things we may need to do a face-to-face. And speaking of face-to-face, Brother Anthony has a couple different locations where we can gather free of charge. Obviously the time and everything has to work for everyone. It has to make sense. But that's another thing I think we should entertain. I know we used to meet at the Griot for our study once a week, and it kind of got a little cattywampus, for lack of a better word, which caused us to abandon that mission. Because we were paying for it and we weren't really fully attended. But I think this is an important piece. This is how we grow economically. This is how we move forward. This is how we rise, and it has to start somewhere. And oh, my phone.
Brother Mason's Dr. Kuda has her hand up.
Oh, I was talking. I was saying that. Yes, Dr. Kuda, please. I was on mute.
Thank you, Brother Maces. Thank you, President John. I just want to say, as I'm listening, I know it is good for us to go through this process, to do this brainstorming that we are doing. But as I listen, it's like we are like repeating ourselves all the time. We're coming to the same thing, giving the same answers. And Brother Anthony has just, kind of given us just a light to say, up you mighty nation, and that was Gavi's, motto, and here we are, struggling to just put one and one together because of bylaws and so forth and so forth. Yes, we respect the Constitution, and yes, we must go by the Constitution, but there are some simple things that if I were wealthy right now, and I like that Brother Omaisis is so loving to do real estate and so forth, and I say to him, Brother Omaisis, come into my business. Let's work together. It's me working with him on the side. We're not even talking about UNIA. I'm just doing this with him on the side for ourselves. Yeah, we're coming genuinely to the UNIA and saying, okay, you've got an idea. We see the protocol or the policies or the constitution of the UNIA. We need to follow these steps like the way Brother Omaisa started the meeting by reading all these sections, 1 up to section 9, and showing us where the I don't know what we call them, but those are sort of like hiccups that we need to, hurdles that we need to jump. And yes, it doesn't stop us from requesting for the permission to do what we want to do. We should go ahead and request. And if we denied, we are denied, then we have a reason, even more so, why we are branching and doing it as just an investment group outside of under the umbrella of the UNIA. People with a common interest, whoever is interested in being part of real estate or whatever the initiative is, here is somebody leading us who's got knowledge about this stuff. If you are willing to be part and they're open to us joining, why not? It's outside of the UNIA. But they are also still committing to say, whilst I'm doing this outside of the UNIA, whatever proceeds we have as a team out there for the returns on taxes, you can donate to any non-profit organization that you want to. And instead of us giving to other non-profits, it will all come to the UNIA every year. Our contribution, whether it's a 10% or 15% of our returns, will go to the UNIA. So, but I'm just watching and I'm like, I wish I could just make things speed up and let's wake up and do things. Up, you mighty nation. You know, I should not be working for a boss right now. I just turned 60. But I'm here in Virginia. I left my house in New York to come and work, to have money. The UNIA can't pay me a salary right now. I'm not being insulted for anything, but it's facts. And now we get people come up with ideas for us to make money. Then we are going around in circles and we can't knock the bull's eye. That's why we're not moving and we're not getting members. We are stuck. We don't get no membership. We are such a small group. We should be having membership of over 5,000. So when the president spoke in Philadelphia, he spoke something about go and recruit, get more members. And when you make more members, you can come back to me. Because he himself, he knows he's recruiting because he's got these restaurants, he's got things happening that's attracting people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kuda.
Thank you. So, yeah, to make progress, I think we were preparing to make an official proposal. And Brother Mason, you were clarifying the structure of that proposal.
Yes. So as we are, like I said, we have two proposals on for our guests. Number one, I wanted to second just asking for permission for the stock or investment going forward. But also, as I stated earlier, I am putting together a proposal and a operating agreement for our investment group, and I am proposing that structure. In that structure, we would have the verbiage of us following the process as the Constitution states. And of course, our operating agreement is so that we can just start moving. And I'm hoping that as a body, we don't see any resistance in that. And it helps us be able to just get clarity on moving forward and be able to go ahead and start going, bringing in funds and more members for our division. Any questions or concerns about the proposal or proposal of how I'm proposing that we move forward? Or any other ideas?
No, I have no questions or no, I don't.
Clarification.
Yes.
This would be separate from what I would consider has been termed like an individual group approach. This is counter to that approach, right? You're talking about a UNIA structured approval from parent body approach for investing or the investment trust.
Yes. Yes. I believe that, and just I want to go with the group. It's just what I'm proposing. From what I research going forward, what I wanted to propose, but I wanted to get feedback on, make sure that we all were on the same page on how we want to move forward.
I got you.
But
I just wanted to clarify for anyone that had any questions.
Sorry, actually, when I started speaking, I wanted to ask Attorney Imhotep, we are so fortunate, Division 421, that we have Attorney Imhotep. Have we asked him how we could, from his legal expertise, what is the right way for us to move in this whole thing that we seem to be getting stuck and moving forward?
I would argue that he would agree with Brother Macius's approach as Counsel General.
And that approach is,
Follow
I'm sorry.
Following the Constitution and seek approval from the parent body.
Okay, then we should do that. I don't know why we're stuck then. We should have moved. That's what we should be doing. Because I remember these presentations of Brother Maces about the real estate has been going on for quite long.
I don't know if
I remember the very first time he presented, I was like so fired up. I was like, wow, who's talking there? I was like, finally, we're going to do something. It's going to make us have some income going.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Kuda. Other officers, what are y'all's thoughts on the proposal that we finally got to the floor?
I second.
Sister Diane, Brother Malik, Sister Cecily.
I'm down with whatever y'all decide.
Thank you, Sister Cecily. Sister Diane, Brother Malik.
Yes, I was saying I wasn't really clear as to what it says in the Constitution as far as it was talking about stocks, but we were talking about something different, not stocks. So I wasn't really clear. It's like we're not even clear what we need to get permission on. It's kind of how it.
On page 36, it says the section 6 is entitled investing of money, and then section 7 is entitled no investing by divisions. So it's specifically talking about investing and how we should invest as a division, and basically it's saying we don't have permission without the parent body. So the proposal is to operate in structuring our investment group with getting permission with every investment, but still operating as but still go ahead and move forward. The motion is to move forward with starting an investment group with the structure that is in the Constitution of asking for a parent body, asking the parent body for permission.
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone
We
on
need to
board?
start.
Any disagreement? Do we need to have this discussion again?
So how is this gonna unwind? How long are we gonna wait for permission, and how much is it gonna drag out our investment? That I would like to know.
Okay, fair question. I believe that the process of time that we get an answer back will be case by case. As far as the unwinding, how does this unwind going forward? Our next step is to start promoting our investment group as officers. Members to be involved in this investment group who would like to. And as we identify investments and are ready to put money into it, that's when we will have the process of presenting those investments to the parent body. But our next step, just going forward and henceforth really forever, is to like you've always been saying, since Diane, is find like-minded individuals who want to be involved. So that's where we are.
I would say, a month maximum should be as long as it takes to get a response back. That's what I was gonna say. I think there was something else I was gonna say, but I can't remember.
And then also, regardless of the response we get too, we have to be ready. So it's one thing to identify projects, And if we're out there
Right.
looking for projects, there'll be no shortage of projects that we'll run into. But
Right.
then the other side of identifying the project is being able to seize the opportunity, so to speak. So the only way we're going to seize the opportunity is doing some of the things that we talk about on the first call. We all get our credits in order, and then we all have a certain level of credit worthiness. And we talk about some strategies that we could use to do that. And so maybe there's 20 of us in the group, just hypothetically, but maybe only 10 want to move on one project we identify. Maybe the other 10 might say, this look like a good project. We'll hold off on this one for the next time. But maybe 10 want to move ahead and just do a flip, just for lack of a better word. Just say we're going to do a quick flip, but not too costly. So we do that. But it's still, even if we get permission, I'm still trying to wrap my head around, if we're doing real estate, does that mean that every time we identify a piece of property, we have to get permission from headquarters to do it? And then also, does that mean we have to get permission to start the actual group? And I guess the conversation need to be had about what can and cannot be done, because then it gets a little,
Right.
I
And
mean,
I apologize.
Well, hold on, brother man.
Yeah.
I thought, as we've discussed since day one, some things that we could be working on in the background is developing that, or working to develop cash flow, so that we can, reasonably say, hey, we're ready to spend $200,000, because I don't think that we're there yet, to where we can propose that type of investment. So I
well,
forgot.
we're not needing the cash flow. We just need to get ourselves in good standing, credit worthy
But
wise.
that's something we don't need approval to do that, and also asset identification. That's something we've been talking about for quite some time, and I haven't, I don't know about everybody else, but I haven't seen anything. So I do feel like there are things that we can be doing while we are waiting for approval.
Yes. I definitely agree, President John. Um, as far as what my steps are concerned is making sure that we have our structure in place. And that was the structure from the beginning and the structure all the way to the end. And for me, as in my thinking, it was the last steps, the end part. I agree with President John. We do have those steps that we can continue to have. I know as far as the stocks, I have a list of stocks that I identified this week. I hope we're going to move to that next. But capital raising and asset identification, like President John said, second in those two things is something we can be doing right now. And when I speak of us proposing this to future members, in my mind, that is the one of the first steps to capital raising, is by getting other people involved, especially finding those people who already have money. I think about the 5-year plan and Garvey giving us the steps to do that. And that 5-year plan was specifically centered around finding people to invest in a fund, and that fund being a waterfall to all of the endeavors that we have. All right.
Yes.
The last, go ahead, President John, jump in right there.
One thing that came to my mind as you were saying that, it still came down to assets, in my opinion. Even when we look at how Mr. Garvey was incarcerated, he was promoting the acquisition of a physical asset, a ship that people could see. And he even, to my understanding, he took the liberty of changing the name on the ship. So it was a tangible asset that, it's not just an idea that you're trying to convince people of, but you just show them, hey, this property here, this is what we're looking to acquire. These are the buildings or institutions that we're planning to build, but assets.
Houses are assets. What did you mean when you say invest in a fund?
Well, you asking me?
Assets. I mean, houses work. I was just saying identifying assets and then showing that to individuals to promote membership and activity.
Okay. And then Brother Mason mentioned a fund as well.
Yes, I did. I mentioned a fund, with which you mentioned earlier that we are an investment group, and although real estate is one of the things that we talked about stocks, about all those things. One thing we can do is have a fund that supports all of the endeavors that we are want to do. So that would be the best way for me to see this operation as I kind of put together operating agreement. But I do agree with President John. While all the paperwork things that going on in the background, now what we have to do this week going forward, identify first things that we can even buy, and the Black Star Line Market Garvey showed that to them. He showed them what we are trying to get. So as we see these houses out here that we see, we just have to now start like basically listing them, listing the opportunities that we are trying to get. And although one part is talking about the fact that we are coming together and doing a fund to raise money, now the question is being asked to now let's find some things that we're going to invest in. So now when we have that conversation that we are coming together to raise money, now we can include that part on it and say to invest in these things specifically. And I think that is the challenge of next steps that President John and everybody's asking.
So when we do funds and REITs and stuff like that, we're actually investing in other people's stuff. But when we do the black stocks, it's like black businesses. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm confusing the funds with the because do the black stocks, black publicly traded companies, is there like a fund of those companies? That would be a good thing. You know?
No,
Like
Yeah,
no.
I'm not sure. Right, President John?
I don't think so. I don't know. We got to do some more research. That would be something I think we would be creating. But to my point, portfolio is another word that came to my mind, and I think that's what we're trying to build, whether it's stocks or real
You're cutting out, Brother John.
You cut out whether it's stocks or real estate, President John.
Both portfolio for stocks and a portfolio for real estate. But just like with stocks, we talk about dividing them into sectors. You can do the same. I'm not into real estate, but commercial, residential, waterfront, whatever it may be, apartment, multi-home. We can divide up assets, but creating portfolios. I think no matter what we do, that'll be something that we'll need in the future.
I agree. And yeah, that was basically one of the capital acquisition strategies listed is to find deals that's already out there or potential deals and be able to leverage those to be able to present to investors by them seeing possible opportunities with we already have identified the possible return on investment, whether it be the usage of it or the equity, either one. But I think our job is now just to what President John was getting that. We're all getting that. Now let's just start operating. I think we talked about the structure enough to now know that we have a good structure. So our next step is just acquisition. But that first step is identifying. And so with that being said, I do want to segue to the identifying of the stocks that we have already. I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to identify some stocks, but I motion we move the meeting to that.
I
But
sent the email. I sent the email today to the group. That's got my
okay.
information in it.
Should we tag all of our stocks to that, President John, that we identify? That'd be the best way to kind of do it, or should we create like an Excel? Go ahead.
I mean, we can work from there until we create a file. But that's just, I'm just giving you a heads up. I did submit some stuff. You can find it in the email.
All right, yeah, I'm pulling that up right now as well. And, so with us having the step of asking for permission to invest in these stocks, as we identify, do you want to go over them as a body? I want to go over these stocks, or just kind of get the lists together and have a list, portfolio them.
I'm tied up for a minute.
Everybody should research their own stock and bring it to the table already figured out.
Okay.
We
Figure out.
we were gonna focus on black-owned stocks.
Yes.
If it's worthy of being invested in,
right?
You know, if you pick one, I pick one, President John, whoever's involved, everybody bring a stock to the table.
Okay.
And if two people bring the same stock, I guess that'll be a go on that one, and we'll just find something else to invest in.
Okay. So I think the best thing to do is create an Excel file that we can all add to, so we can see the list. And when you say research them, to what extent, the name or possible, I mean, how much extent are we looking for?
You're looking at how much is needed to actually invest in that stock, the maintenance fee, what it's paying, the future, what it looks like in the future, what it's done in the past, what it is in the present, what it'll do in the future, if it's a long term, short term, all that type stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was looking at RLJ. So I just need to dig in deeper on that one. But yeah, RLJ was the one that I had my eyes on.
That's black-owned?
Yeah, Robert Johnson, who had BET, that's his stock.
Okay.
Him and I can't remember the other guy's name, but yeah, that was the one that I was eyeballing.
Okay.
RLJ.
Yeah, I identified a few in a couple different industries as well. So I'm just trying to figure out the best usage of everybody's time going forward on this. Just calling them out, listing them, or do we want to all look over them? So.
You have a list as well?
Yeah, I do. I got few in the let's see. Yeah, technology. There's Urban One, where the owner is Alfred C. Liggins.
Isn't that Kathy Hughes? The Urban One, that's Kathy Hughes, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's Kathy Hughes.
Yeah.
Albert is the son.
The son, yeah.
It's fine. Okay. It's showing him. You want, yeah. So y'all identified that one. Alfred's the son. Okay. And Jamba Inc. is on NASDAQ. Vernon Davis, the former NFL player. That's a consumer goods stock. So I didn't necessarily do all the history that you said, Brother Lee, which is great. And I want to try to get that list of all those criteria that you had so that we can I can kind of put that on the Excel sheet as so we know the criteria to look for. I just got the names of the owners, so that's why I appreciate you sharing that. But I have
So
a few. I
maybe
mean,
maybe just having the list is a good thing. Each individual can kind of go dive a little bit more into these individual companies and learn something about them. And then like when we come to the table again to actually select a few of these companies, we'll all have more knowledge on each companies, what they do, how long they've been in business, what is their prospect for growth, what kind of fundamentals, how they've performed in the past, their balance sheet, so to speak. Do they look like they have longevity? Would it be a company you want to own a piece of? Because when you buy the stock, you are essentially owning a piece of the company. But then are we clarifying that is this going to be for the individual investors or just for what we were going to get for the UNIA? So
okay,
that's the other thing we need to clarify.
okay.
This will be mainly organization focused.
Say it again, President.
Mainly organization focused. If individuals wish to, pursue anything that we find, that's up to them at their leisure. But my efforts will be primarily for the organization.
Yes. So the asset identification criteria. I'm going to call one of you all this week, Brother Malik and Brother Diane. Y'all just listed off some great criteria what to look for. And on the same, when we look for real estate properties, we will do the same and get that criteria kind of put in place what we're looking for. But I think our next step is just to continue to compile our list continuously of things that we see that we can invest in with the stocks or the real estate. Um, it's my job. I mean, I want us to be organized like we always are. Our president is a very organized person. So there I'm going to set up Excel sheets for both of those lists so that we can have those portfolios and be able to continuously compile in those. I showed you all before in a previous meeting an app that I developed where you can take a picture of the property as you see it and it'll go in there. I just need to rebrand the app, and that's just UNI focus. But right now it's the Nagarro Community Development Authority app, but it's just a app where you can identify the property, put in the owner of the property, the address.
You're cutting out, Brother Macy's.
Case identification strategy for state, and of course, with the stocks, we'll create an Excel sheet so that we can just put them on there so everybody can see it, and it'll be a shared Google sheet that everybody can go in and see. So, our next steps going forward is asset identification. Going forward this week, as we already started, I'm sure everybody has did research on some stocks, but that's all that I have. I'm not sure if anybody have any other questions or comments, but going forward, that's where we are, identifying assets.
I'm glad that we're talking about doing something. So we're getting closer to doing something.
Yes,
and that's
yes.
exciting.
So I will put the Excel sheet in the